There is no question right now we are in a divided country. Past election made that pretty clear, and continued fights over who we are prove that daily. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, whether that can be fixed or not, however, is up for debate. One perspective, our friend, Iraq War veteran and Trump supporter Jesse Kelly, has a piece in The Federalist where he argues we are divided and should just embrace that fact by literally dividing ourselves. He goes so far as to say, although maybe somewhat tongue-in-cheek, that the country should sort of be cut in half. He calls his self-drawn divided map of the Federalist States of America and the People's Republic of Soyland the peaceful solution. Kelly says, in part, this idea of breaking up the country may seem a bit outlandish now, but you won't think so once real domestic unrest comes to your town. Our political disagreements have become a powder keg. On the other side of the equation, my progressive friend, CNN political commentator Sally Kohn. She's got a new book out called The Opposite of Hate, a field guide to repairing our humanity. She believes we can rediscover our inner empathy, come together, and bridge our differences. She writes, too often, people in our communities and around the world are beaten down by hate that we consciously or unconsciously spread, but it's hate we should be beating. The prize for doing so is a sweeter future for us all. So, who's right? Come together, get divorced? What's the answer? I thought I'd bring my friends together and have this conversation. So, Jesse, lay out your case for me.
Well, look, we don't have any common values anymore. We don't share first principles anymore, and it's not to be mean about it. We just don't. And look, I'm not under the impression this is going to happen. I mean, those corrupt degenerates in Washington haven't negotiated a good deal since the Louisiana Purchase. So I'm not under the impression they're going to be able to make this happen. Yeah. But if Sally and I got together and we discussed every single issue, it would be cordial and it would be friendly. But we would go down every single point, and I would feel one way, and she'd feel another way, and I mean, all her ways would be wrong, but we would just never come to an agreement, ever.
Sally, you see things differently. Tell me.
Well, first of all, I mean, I'm sure we could find plenty to disagree about, but I actually think there is quite a lot we could agree on. First of all, just even in terms of policy, there's a vast majority of things we tend to not argue about, for instance, on cable news. And we argue about a slim section of things that we disagree the most intensely about. That's, by the way, by design right now in our society. But also, let's be clear, we do agree on principles, I think. Among those principles being unity, but also free speech, free assembly, freedom of religion, right? The idea that we should all be able to live up to our God-given full potential in this country, the idea that out of many we are one nation. I think we all believe in those. I think we disagree about how we apply those principles, how we carry them out, and to whom they apply right now in America. But I sure as heck hope we all still agree on them.
Jesse, I'll let you respond, and then I have a question again. Go ahead.
Well, that's the thing. Freedom means different things to different people. FDR talked about all these freedoms. Freedom meaning you have a right to a job. That's not freedom. Freedom means freedom. It means there is not necessarily a safety net, but you can rise as high as you want or fall as low as you want. I think we're lying to ourselves when we think we're almost back together or can come together. Even national tragedies don't bring us together. 9/11 did, but now we have 17 kids get killed in Florida, and before the Broward County Sheriff's Department can stop crying and come out of hiding, the left's already coming for guns instead of talking about the kids and mourning.
Sally, I got to be honest, while I don't think we're on the precipice of cutting our country in half, I am skeptical that as a nation, people want to come together right now. Is there an appetite to bridge those divides? I mean, I try to do it on this show, but I don't see it out there, actually. What's your evidence that people are ready for your message?
So I actually have spent a lot of time talking to folks on the left and the right who think that we can have our differences and our disagreements, which I happen to think are what make us great as people and as a nation. And by the way, which, again, I just want to be clear, we overemphasize. So, for instance, Jesse can attack the safety net all he wants, but the vast majority of Americans on the left and the right support Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security and think those are also what make our nation great. But regardless of that, we can have our differences and disagreements, which make us great as people and as a country, and express those differences and disagreements without demeaning and dehumanizing each other. I think that's possible because I see people do it.
I think, Jesse, you'd agree we can have these debates civilly. That's why we have you on. But don't you think that we're a stronger nation When we are not divided, when we're fighting for common causes, are you ready to give up on that idea so easily?
Oh, of course. And don't get me wrong, I'm not celebrating about this. As I said in the article, there's nothing to celebrate about divorce. No one sees a divorce and starts cheering. Yeah. I just think that there is no common ground. As I said, no, I don't want it to be divisive. I don't want it to be ugly. I don't want some Bernie Sanders supporter to hunt down Steve Scalise and try to kill him. I don't want Rand Paul to get beat up in his front yard. But these things are, as I said in the article, it's no longer a rally in D.C. to protest Vietnam and smoke weed. It is now becoming violent, and it's becoming angry, and it's not just on the street corner. We now have senators that are speaking these radical things. I mean, a senator from California goes on national TV and jokes about killing the president. These are red flags. These are bad things, and I'm telling you, either we can agree to disagree, or I think it's going to be a problem.
Sally, I'll give you the last word.
Well, I'm sorry, but you're also, of course, ignoring the divisive things that are coming on the right, especially from the very top in terms of President Trump and demonizing Mexicans and Muslims and immigrants and so many people in this country, number one. And number two, I should point out that we did think about this national divorce thing once before. And if we'd done that then, we would have had half a country form a new nation where they would have continued to enslave black people in this country for God knows how long. So I am glad we fought to keep our unity as a country and to uphold our values, even when it meant we hadn't quite achieved them yet.
Jesse, Sally, I guess that makes me Raphael. Thanks for joining us and having that great conversation. I do appreciate it. Everyone else, sit tight. We'll have more on this in a minute.